5, 4, 3, 2.
And we're back. What is going on, fellas?
Hey now.
So, Smitty, Big Cat coming at you again for division number 2. So that'll be Bobby Gavlak, the Butthole Surfers. That'll be Seymour Busch, defending champion, which hurts me to say.
Matty G.
Matty G. And Derelicte my balls, Mike Smith. So we actually thought about having Mike Smith come on for this division, but we wanted to keep this podcast under 2 hours, so we elected not to.
Service.
Whammy.
Served.
Gene Tennis at the plate. Hey, whammy. All right, well, we can make fun of Mike Smith on our own time. So why don't you start us off here with quarterback?
Yeah, so we'll go through quarterback for this division. Got my research here. Didn't take a lot of work to do. There's a clear winner here. Obviously, Butthole Surfers have Lamar Jackson. I mean, that's an A-plus quarterback. Rushing, passing, he's awesome. Also, Joe Burrow, which I don't know. I mean, it's not like we're in the business of really keeping quarterbacks, especially pocket passers, but not the worst backup to have in the world. Second in the division on quarterback, and this is a far second, is Derelicte my balls. I think Carson Wentz is a good player. I think he's in a good spot. I think his wide receivers still suck balls. But he's like one of those guys that can fight through it. But right behind him is Seymour Busch with Cam Newton, who I don't hate. I just don't know how it's going to look exactly. So it's hard to really push all your chips into the middle of the table with Cam Newton. So, for me, it's a pretty easy, Butthole Surfers is just far superior to both teams here. Seymour and Derelicte are more or less the same. I give the edge to Derelicte with Wentz just because I think he has a little more passing upside. But it's close. It's real close on the second. But, they're way, way behind Butthole Surfers. What about running back, Big Cat?
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I do have to shout out Bob Gavlak because I'm pretty sure he got Lamar Jackson last year the same way he got Joe Burrow this year. So I like that backup pick. Anyway, so let's go running back. All right, let's start with Seymour Busch, who's got Zeke, who's obviously going to be one of the best backs in the game. He seems kind of pissed off this year. So, hopefully he plays like he has about 2 years ago. Tevin Coleman, Chase Edmonds, not really crazy about either of those guys. Damian Harris, who knows what's going on in New England, but he's probably not getting many carries, at least to start off. Zach Moss, I do like a lot, actually. I think he's a pretty talented back, but won't be getting really any fantasy-worthy touches. And then Pollard is a handcuff. So strong with Zeke, kind of goes downhill from there, at least for me. As far as Bobby goes, Josh Jacobs is a great football player. I really like him quite a bit. But it kind of goes downhill from there as well. Le'Veon Bell, it's just hard to count on that guy, even though he does have a big name. Oh, man. All right, you'll have to edit this part out. My screensaver just went on. You can just leave it in. No one's watching anyway.
Yeah, nobody's watching. The only people watching are Bobby, Matt, and Mike, so fuck it, right?
So Lev Bell, it's just so hard to count on that guy for anything, but he is in line for some carries, so I guess he's a decent RB2. One of my favorite picks of the draft is Antonio Gibson. Only now that I know he got
that
put.
works out now, right?
But that guy is going to be in line for some serious work.
Sure.
So that is a great pick. I would almost, I don't want to get crazy, but I would say, I'm going to say it. You can, mark this point. I bet Antonio Gibson will have more fantasy points this year than Lev Bell. There, I said it. My,
I would give that the D Smith rubber stamp. I think
uh,
well, I think something really weird is going to happen with the Jets. Um, I've heard some rumblings that Lev Bell and Gase are at odds, and
mhm,
that word on the street is that Bell has lost the proverbial step that he needs to be an effective running back,
mhm.
to the point where he may not be starting in November.
All right. Well, you heard it here first.
Heard it here first.
All right. Let's go over to Mike Smith. So Cam Akers, isn't going to be starting right away, but he's a pretty talented back. Nick Chubb obviously is a stud.
Yep.
Um, Picked him up off of waivers, I think. So lucky move there. AJ Dillon, kind of a handcuff at this point. J.K. Dobbins, I think, is going to be a stud. So what's his name? Ingram is 31. I love J.K. Dobbins. He was the most impressive Ohio State running back that I can remember. So that goes, Zeke and all those other guys. He was a special player to watch.
That's a bold statement right there.
He's unbelievable. So on that
Okay.
team, that guy's going to be awesome. Kerryon Johnson, who I still really like, I think is a great depth move there. And Smitty finally got a sucker to bite on Aaron Jones. I'm sure they had about 14 hours of negotiations to end up on that third round pick. but no, honestly, Jones will be fine this year. I think he'll produce pretty good numbers this year. I just don't think they're going to be anywhere close to what he got last year. But I mean, this position group for Mike, he's the winner, man. He's got Akers, he's got Chubb, he's potentially got J.K. Dobbins, and Aaron Jones. That could be 4 RB1s right there. That's a ridiculous lineup.
For sure. Yeah, he's got, the good thing is he's got the Green Bay backfield locked up. So even if Aaron Jones goes sideways, he still has AJ Dillon.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got the Green Bay backfield, which is good. And then if Dobbins comes through, I mean, yeah, that's 4 A1A running backs. Although I think it's going to take an Ingram injury to make Dobbins like an RB1, like a top 12 RB. But I think he's going to be a 13 to 24 type scorer, which is good.
Yeah, we just talked about Lev Bell losing that step that you need to be an elite running back. I think Ingram's lost that already, but he's still obviously effective in a great offense like that. I just Father Time's undefeated. I just project him another year ahead. I just don't know how
I
how
mean,
much he's going to play.
he's right at the end of it, right?
Yep.
This is the last year that you can really, hopefully, because I have him. You
Yep.
can get on him. All
So
right.
strong running backs in this division, and Antonio Gibson, that was a great pick. So real strong group of running backs in this division.
Yeah, agree. Moving on to wide receiver. They're pretty good here. Not great, but pretty good. So for the weakest, and I don't put this as a weak. I put this, I put the Butthole Surfers as a average wide receiver core. They got Hopkins, which theoretically should work really well with in Arizona with Kyler Murray. But then it kind of falls off from there. Julian Edelman, he's going to do what he does. Marvin Jones, I don't hate Marvin Jones. It's just he's not sexy. And then, he's got some rookies. He's got Pittman, he's got Rager, hurt, and he's got T. Higgins, Cincinnati. There's just a lot to slog through in Cincinnati. You got Boyd, you got John Ross, right? And then you also have AJ Green, you got Auden Tate. There's just a lot of shit to work through. So I think Butthole has the weakest wide receivers in the division. Next up, the middle guy, I have Mike Derelicte. Mike Thomas, far and above the best wide receiver. But beyond that, it kind of gets a little weaker. I like Jerry Jeudy. I don't know what a rookie wide receiver is going to do with Drew Lock at the helm. I think he's going to be good, but not great. Deontay Johnson in Pittsburgh, he's slated in to be the number 2 wide receiver, which is a productive spot. But, I don't, I like him. I don't love him. Anthony Miller, he's a guy. Chase Claypool, maybe he emerges this year. Probably not, but maybe, I don't know. And then Mecole Hardman is a Tyreek Hill injury away from being very relevant. But with Tyreek in the game, he's not a guy you can start. The strongest wide receivers in the division, I have Seymour, Busch, Thielen, Allen Robinson, Will Fuller, Marquise Brown. Those are 4 guys you can start every week. There's, he doesn't have that big banger up top, but those 4 guys, those are 4 really strong starting wide receivers. And then he's got Ruggs, down there, which I don't know. LA wide receivers don't get me going too much, but yeah. So I have Seymour, Busch with the best wide receivers in this group. I think that starting, foursome of Thielen, Robinson, Fuller, Marquise Brown, that's pretty hard to beat. That's a good 4 guys to start. So that's where I got it. Seymour, Busch.
Yep. I like it. So Matt, what I really want to know is, I took the receiver from Carolina, Moore, and I almost took Allen Robinson, and I want to know if Moore would have made it back to me, or if he was going to get taken in those 2 swing picks there. So
DJ Moore?
Yep.
I don't know. We'll talk about your wide receivers when we get they are impressive.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So real quick on tight ends here. So Mike Smith, Genu Smith, that guy's name's been kicking around for years now. I don't know if he's actually ever caught a pass, but he's always on the waiver wire. Darren Waller is a nice story. I had him last year. He kind of petered out for me. They signed Witten, who's got to be 106 years old.
He's like our age, dude. He's our age, legit.
But at the end of the day, you just don't know what's going to happen in Vegas with these Raiders. They could be really good, or it could be a complete and epic disaster. But as far as tight ends go, he's got to be at least in the top 6 to start off with. So Bobby Gavlak, stud, Cleveland native. Travis Kelce, the Disley guy from Seattle is, okay, a pretty good backup. And he's got 2 more guys. I'm not sure why, but he does. So Sternberger, and I can't even pronounce that guy's name.
CJ
Uzoma. So yeah. I've been saying it wrong in my head for many years now, apparently.
Or Uzoma?
Uzoma. Uzoma.
Not gonna work here anymore.
So, Mark Andrews is nice for Seymour, Busch. So that was a good pickup, in my opinion.
Sure.
I'm sure Mike Smith got some pretty good trade compensation back after some negotiations, but initially I thought Mike Smith won that trade, but to be honest with you, he got a really good bonus keeper. And if Baltimore can do anything close to what they did last year, those guys are going to work out. So I'm going to give the nod here to Bobby Gavlak, who is a handsome man, let's be honest, and also has a great tight end core. Yeah. So
shockingly, he's only the 2nd most handsome man in his division.
That is shocking.
Man, he's a looker. He's a handsome devil, isn't he?
He really is.
Really is. And Mike Smith bringing up the rear there. As we
really
did in the Smith clan. Fuck you, man. All right, so covering defense real quick. D-line, hard to predict. I think the best potential is Butthole Surfers, Joey Bosa. extremely good player, potential for a ton of sacks. Sam Hubbard and Dante Fowler, like they're fine, good, good. But I think you have to give the nod to Butthole Surfers there. And then going on defensive back, Seymour has Jamal Adams. I mean, he's a great player. He's going to Seattle. Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor, remember those guys? They were bangers in that defensive backfield. I feel like that defense is a little bit of a funnel to the safeties. So I think Jamal Adams could be like ridiculous. He could be the Darius Leonard of safeties this year. So I love that pick. I love Seymour Busch here. Minkah Fitzpatrick over on Mike's team, gotta love him. Big turnovers. If he can replicate that, then he's great. But turnovers are hard to replicate. Butthole Surfer's really easy to cover. He doesn't have any defensive backs. He's a 0.
There you go.
Yeah,
all right, well, he's going to make up for it on linebacker here because he got, clearly the number one defensive player on everyone's list. I believe he took him in the 4th round, went early for it, but honestly, it kind of makes sense because all the other linebackers, I'd say, well, if you want to get technical about things, probably 2 through 6, all pretty much the same. But in my opinion, about 2 through 12 are pretty much all the same as far as production goes. So real nice to get someone above the cut there. So Darius Leonard, and he's a complete stud of a football player too. So TJ Watt, puts up big numbers. He's going to do it again this year. That is a good pick. And over for Mike Smith, Tremaine Edmonds. So Buffalo Bill. He's really young. I think this is his 3rd year in the league, and he's only 22 or something crazy. He is a complete stud of a football player.
He's great.
He is in every single play, which well, I won't say that. I don't want to jinx the guy, but he's real good.
Are you about to say he was the best Bills linebacker since Takeo Spikes?
No, I was not about to say that. So, I'm obviously have to give the edge here to Bobby Gavlak. But,
it's close.
Two really good linebackers right behind him. So all right. Well, this is, maybe since we just did the first division, which is dumpster fire. These three teams are all really good, honestly. Could be one of those divisions where 2 teams in that division make the wild card. So, they're all really that good. I am going to give the nod to Bobby Gavlak, but it's real close. Honestly, I think Mike Smith is right up there, but his strength is running back, and running backs don't last as long. And you saw last year, one running back, really won some games for a lot of people every single week. These running backs are great, but outside of maybe Chubb, I don't know if you're going to get, McCaffrey-like production. Mike Smith does have the best wide receiver in the game, though, by a lot, in my opinion. So, it's a close one for sure. The tiebreaker for me went to Lamar Jackson. That guy, if he plays anything close to like he did last year, a lot of people say, the second year of full-time starter, so this would be his 3rd year. But you got a whole year of tape on him now, right? Where he basically blew everyone up. So people say you can go back and check out the tape and figure out a way to beat them. There is no way to beat them unless you put them behind early. If you don't, the game is over, man. Completely over. So if you're down, 10-0 with 3 minutes left in the first quarter, that game is over, and they're probably going to run up the score. That ain't changing. There's nothing that you can do different defensively to stop Lamar Jackson. You just have to hope he misses open throws. That's your only chance. And I'm saying that as I hate him so much.
Saying it with all due respect, right? All due respect.
it just, I really don't like him because I was so wrong on my prediction, and I'm usually pretty good at predicting quarterbacks. But so I'm still hoping I could be right, but there's no way. The guy is completely ridiculous. He's got better moves than Mike Vick.
He's very good.
Yeah. So I'm
Very
gonna
good.
give that division to Bobby as we
Yeah.
wrap up here. So any parting shots there, Dave?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you there, though.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
I am on Derelicte. I'm on Derelicte for that division, personally. I think that the receivers, if they come through, that running back trio of Chubb, Akers, and Jones. See, I'm high on Akers. I think Akers takes the lead role in on the Rams. So the way I see that is he has Chubb, Akers, and Jones, who are all three starting running backs. And then if Dobbins comes through, that's pretty good. Pair that up with Michael Thomas. I think Wentz is a capable starter. So for me, I have Derelicte at the top of this division. So a little different than you, but I think it should be interesting. That's for sure.
I mean, obviously his running backs are amazing, but he's got Wentz, who is outside of the top 10. He's got one startable wide receiver and an average tight end. And Bobby's got number one quarterback, number one tight end.
Yeah, but Bobby's running backs are dog shit. Let's be honest.
Well, you only got to start one.
Josh Jacobs is fine, but like Lev Bell, David Montgomery, fucking start those guys.
Yeah.
And the wide receivers are not much better. He's got to start people. Hopkins I'll start, but Edelman,
yeah,
I'm not excited about that.
His receivers are weak, no doubt about it.
Receivers are weak.
But
I have running backs as his weakest part for Bobby. I have his running backs as his biggest liability. For me, it's Josh Jacobs and a bunch of guys. That's the way I see it. Although Gibson took a significant bump up with the Peterson, when they cut Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
So I might reassess that a little bit. But, Keyshawn Vaughn, that guy's fucking worthless. He's going to be returning punts.
Yep.
That's the Leonard Fournette show down there. So, anyway, should be a good division.
There it is.
I think it's competitive, though. I think that's very competitive between those three. For me, I wouldn't be surprised to see any of the three win it.
Mm-hmm.
But personally, I got Mike pulling it out just on the strength of those running backs.
Yep.
There you go, man.
All right, fellas. We will see you for the next video.
Boom.
Roasted.